And Beth, you know what? I mean, a bit of an open goal for Kemi Bandenoch today, but this is damaging for the government, isn't it? There's not even a perception, I mean, a reality that they are changing their minds on lots of different issues.
Yeah, look, and what you saw there was a classic deflection from the Prime Minister, where Kemi Bandenoch quite rightly skewered him on the fact that they had performed another U-turn on digital IDs, having announced it only in September, to now water down that plan very substantially. And the Prime Minister trying to deflect that back to her, talking about the past chaos of Tory governments. But later on in that Prime Minister's question, she kind of got a chant going on the benches, outlining a number of different policy areas, and then her MPs were shouting U-turn, and we've clocked them up, and you could argue that there's been 13 U-turns in 18 months. And I think...
three in the last month, I think.
And just to go back to the issue of digital IDs, the Prime Minister said in September, I'm announcing this government will make new free digital ID mandatory by the end of this Parliament. You will not be able to work in the UK if you don't have a digital ID. It's as simple as that. It couldn't be clearer. And now what they're saying is that there will be checks to make sure you can work here, but the mandatory digital ID will now become voluntary, and people can choose to do that if they want to, just to make their admin easier. But Darren, look, on the politics of it, it just feeds into this idea that the government are being blown around by their backbenchers, by public opinion. The digital ID cards were very, very, very unpopular, and there was a big online petition. And I think they're looking at the May elections thinking, I mean, a lot of people have been talking about this, but just get unpopular policies out of the way so you don't have to have a fight about it.
Yeah.
But it speaks to a government when the big question about Keir Starmer has been leadership and direction.
And that's why I think
it speaks to that.
Lord Blunkett was on the radio this morning, someone who, obviously a former Labour Home Secretary, but backs this digital ID card. And he was saying that no one was making the case for it. When you think back, it was announced out of the blue in September. And over the last 6 months or so, no one's made an actual attempt to sell this to the public.
And actually, this is very pertinent because we've been doing a bit of work this week on jury trials as well. And what seems to be an emerging pattern is, as you said, what was the genesis of the digital IDs? It was partly about the deal that the UK government was trying to do with the French government in the summer last year to try and get them to work more together with the UK authorities to drive down small boat crossings. And one of the issues that the French were complaining about was that the black economy in the UK was a pull factor. It was attracting people here because they think you can go underground and work. And so digital IDs was a kind of solution to that. And so it was sold as a big way of cracking down on immigration, but it wasn't actually sold to the British public as, you know what, this could actually, if you do this, make your life easier, and then the backlash comes. And the reason I bring up the jury trials question is because the government, again, have announced that they're going to reduce jury trials. There's no green paper, there's no white paper. I mean, this is normally so I'm going into sort of Westminster speak, but normally you would launch a consultation, say these are our ideas, and we're going to work with different stakeholder groups to get to a policy where we can get it through Parliament. You work with your MPs and stakeholders, and they just announced the jury things, and now they've got a backlash. They've got a rebellion of up to 60 MPs, and there's already talk about them potentially watering that down, about whether or not you restrict jury trials to only the most serious offences, murder, manslaughter, rape, and other less serious crimes. You basically have a one-judge panel, and now that's facing a backlash, and there's questions about whether or not they're watered down that.
Yeah, so Kemi Bandenoch brought it up. This might be the 14th U-turn to come. And it's this thing. I mean, to me, the art of politics is being able to convince other people that you're right. And on that basic level, the government don't seem to want to almost win people over to the side.
On the other side, and I know you've got to move on, and we could talk about this all day.
We could.
Should go on Politics Hub tomorrow. On the other side of it, you can see from the government's perspective, they're going into a very difficult election year. Keir Starmer has started the year with this laser focus on cost of living. They are trying to, you saw with the Northern Rail announcement today as well, they're trying to show voters tangible ways in which they're trying to improve their lives. And actually, policies such as ID cards, which become very controversial, this is a government without necessarily the political capital to have that fight. So it's better to probably just row back and ditch it.
Which, given the majority, seems quite extraordinary.
Yeah,